He's almost reached the end, but he seems to be struggling. Whoa, what was that? Yeah, what was that? That was the Soul King's history, I think. Welcome back. Following on from my live reaction of episode 15 of Bleach the 1,000-Year Blood War arc anime titled Peace from Shadows, it's now a little bit later on in the day, and we have episode 16 to go over, The Fundamental Virulence. Now, I'm going into this episode with some expectations. The last episode was good, but it was all about continuing to show just how outclassed the Shinigami actually are, regardless of their training. They need Bankai to have any hope of turning the tide, and I'm expecting this episode to not only feature that fight back, but also be a more rousing, triumphant affair in general. And I have some other expectations too for smaller, more focused points. For example, chances to reveal BG9's shrift do grow worryingly thin, though I definitely think it can still happen in this episode and even in one scene beyond it if push really does come to shove. Not only that, but I personally would love to see Kangdu get an extended fight, and this is most likely the best time to do it, or really the only time to do it. So there's a lot, hypothetically, I'm looking forward to going into this episode, plus they'll likely begin setting up the following fight as well. And finally, there's one big reveal coming that I think, unfortunately, I already know about, thanks to random comments here and there, and even Bleach Brave Souls official channels giving up the ghost, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm expecting it to be epic either way. So, without further ado, let's begin episode 16 of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc anime, The Fundamental Virulence. Remember, as always, I'll be watching it from the perspective of someone who has read the source material front to back many times, so expect potential spoilers for the entirety of the arc moving forwards. Also, make sure to hit subscribe for more Bleach content like this every single week, and a massive shout out and an enormous thank you goes out to everyone supporting me over on Patreon. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I also want to throw another thank you out there to all of you who did watch the coverage for episode 15, considering it was a week late. I really do appreciate you showing up to support it nonetheless. And so, let's begin the episode. Okay, we're already starting with something brand new. The Soldat were fighting Iba. Okay, so this is the random shots of those vice captains. This is all brand new. I love this. I love this because one thing I've always wanted to see, or one thing I've always said is so good about the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, is that it involves the foot soldiers. It makes it feel like a real war in that regard, and so seeing the scope of the battle like that, I love that. Even if maybe that's the only shot of Iba fighting we'll actually get. So, who knows? But also Hisagi, Ikkaku, Yumichika. So this is now the start of 552. See, I really hope Kang gets a slight extension, otherwise he's going to go down so quickly. Oh man, the absolutely brutal way he just dumps Matsumoto on the floor, exactly like it was in the source material. And she really does look like she is dead here. Now, one thing I did see on Twitter was Kubo put out one of his memorial images for Matsumoto, so maybe I was right in my battle analysis when I said that Kang actually killed her, and it makes sense that he would have done, and there's his splash screen as well. I just think he has such a cool design for a character who's really not important whatsoever. Seeing him activate and summon Daiguren Hyorin is crazy, and unfortunately they've kept his line that makes absolutely no sense when he says that you've never seen it before, despite the fact that Kang used it against him in the first invasion. There is an eerie beauty to this scene though, seeing the twisted purple version of Daiguren Hyorin. Although Kang doesn't get to do a lot, this is a great monologue here as well. I really love all of that, and the absolute despair on Hitsugaya's face when he sees Matsumoto. Quite a lot is happening in this episode already, and we haven't even had the opening yet. Fundamental Virulence. I always thought that was a really awesome chapter title, to be fair, so I'm glad to see it being used here as the title of an episode. So now we finally have the opening. I feel like a lot happened there in the intro. I guess it was really only the start of 552, plus those new scenes, but those new scenes I think are very, very exciting. Because I love that sort of thing. I love them building on the scope of the battle and showing us what other characters are up to, even if they are just fighting random Soldat. I love all of that. Seeing the fight playing out across the battlefield makes it feel like a real war. You know, there's other things going on that aren't involving the main battles, aren't involving the main fighters, and that's really awesome. Even if, as I said, it might be the only time characters like Iba and Hinamori actually get to do anything, but we'll see. Ah, yes, the new colour scheme for Inside the Garganta. I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about the way this looks, but I mean, I guess it's unique. I feel like what they've tried to do, this has only really just come to me now, but what they've really tried to do is make every single area in the world of Bleach look totally visually distinct, and that's something that they've decided to do in this new Thousand Year Blood War arc anime. So that's why the Garganta has this brand new lighting system, I guess, is to make it stand out visually from everywhere else. That's why the Royal Palace looks the way it does. That's why the Quincy City looks the way it does. That's why you have the red sky for the Veil, to make it look totally visually unique. Another brand new location. It's really awesome, of course, seeing Kisuke arriving on the battlefield. It's from here that he really starts to have a big role as a frontline commander. And of course, it's wonderful seeing him, although they're not quite doing it just yet. He'll eventually be working with Mayuri, master and protege, essentially, even if, you know, there's friction there. It's really awesome seeing them come together like this for the sake of the Soul Society. But of course, this is also the proper introduction now to Mayuri's shadowless laboratory, which is awesome. And I love Kisuke kind of flattering Mayuri a little bit to try and get him on side. I also love that new tiny little Akon moment where he seems to reinforce that, yeah, you know, Captain, we should really be working together. But yeah, here we go. This is Mayuri's new... Wow, that's all new. Okay, so that's really cool. That's also really cool as well. Okay, there's a lot going on here, but I love the Shinigami sending out their surveillance bugs. That's really cool. The same kind of surveillance bugs that the Research and Development Department had set up in their own barracks beforehand. I also loved seeing the communications Quincy again, it looked like, although not quite the same as they were originally, but in the source material, I mean. Really cool to see them nonetheless. There are some Quincy doing admin in the background while there's a war going on, which is really cool. What I just noticed, why is Mayuri now... Why is he now like a rainbow version of himself? Is that going to be something to do with the brilliant light of the laboratory shining off of his, reflecting off his light suit? I don't know how it worked, but that was very interesting. God, there's so much going on in this episode. So basically, they just contextualized why Kirige was able to absorb ion, but also not really. Because so we've always questioned for a while if Aranka Reiatsu, essentially Hollow Reiatsu, is poisonous to Quincy's to the point where it will kill them. You know, it's that bad. They have no natural defense to it. Then how on earth was Kirige OP able to absorb ion, a hollow monster, and actively wear its body on his own flesh? Well, that's our answer. Kirige looking the way he did was an aberration. He wasn't supposed to look like that. It was the poisoning of Ion's Reiatsu that did that to him. First of all, I really like that. That's a nice plot hole closed up. My original theory was just that his Sclaveray allowed him to dominate Reishi to such a degree that it no longer affected him. This is kind of cooler, though it does mean that that form of Kirige's isn't what it should have looked like, which is a bit of a shame because it looked really badass personally. But anyway, there is so much going on here already. I can't help but think this is going to be a really fun episode to review. Also, a little while back, we had that mystery scene from the trailer, I think, with the red warning panels going off in the lab. See, that's interesting. As Kisuke sends out the Shinyaku, they've highlighted Hisagi, obviously, because he has Bankai at this point. But they also sent one to Ikaku and one to Yumichika, which I find intriguing. Now, maybe he just sent one to everyone, just in case. But that is kind of intriguing. This Rainbow Mayuri is really cool. I'm assuming it's something... I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about, really, but I assume it's something to do with the light in this room. But yeah, so basically what we're getting here is the big explanation as to why Quincy can't deal with Hollow Reiatsu, something we saw in Everything But the Rain, of course, when Masaki was hollowified by White and it nearly killed her. And I remember back in the day, while I kind of wish the Bankai stealing subplot had lasted a little bit longer, as we really are only at the very start of the second invasion here, and I think they maybe should have dragged that out a little bit more, made the situation a little more dire, had the Shinigami fight without that trump card for a little while longer. I loved this explanation. I thought it was really, really good, very satisfying, because Kubo explained this to us in Everything But the Rain, and now we see it in action. And actually, I mean, I don't think any of us expected to go into this arc seeing Hitsugaya with a Hollow Mask, or, you know, a Hollow Mask remnant. But so with Kang's back exploding with blood, that signifies the end of 552. That's cool though, kind of Hitsugaya looking very sinister there as he gets to his feet. This music's cool. Again, the artwork on like their individual faces is just nearly flawless sometimes. Yeah, this music's cool though. But we're fully into 553. BG9, you got to give me that info. I thought maybe he was going to... See, now that was cool. See, now, his his strange little... I don't really know what to call it. Like some kind of shield he had on his back disappeared. And it looked like a Volstrandig when it disappeared. But it's highly possible it was active. If it is his holy form, it was activated in a similar manner to Robert's was in the first invasion, without the pomp and circumstance of the massive pillar of light or anything like that. I don't really know what to call it. It was like some kind of defense mechanism to keep people off his back while he was conducting his data gathering experiments, basically. There's Soi Fon's Bankai. That looks really cool, to be honest. This is all done very well so far. I'm actually very happy with this. I love seeing the almost first-person shot of her aiming at a BG9. That's really cool. Yeah, see, that looks fantastic. I love how fast it flies towards him. That explosion is very impressive. That looks really awesome, seeing that across the cityscape. BG9 has just taken a missile to the face, and we still don't know his shrift, so that's a little concerning. But now here we have Hitsugaya versus Kangdu. Is this going to be exactly the same? Because BG9's defeat was exactly the same as it was in the source material, basically, there, so... I love how this looks, though, and the music is so good. I love seeing Kang's physical fighting like that. His hand-to-hand combat mastery is so cool, and that's a fantastic angle as well. This is very cool, but so far it is playing out exactly the same as it did originally. But, yeah, and here's Hyorimaru as well. Yeah, fantastic. I thought the animation was very smooth when Kang was actually fighting. That was really cool. There he is, Hyorimaru, and Hitsugaya, of course, now hollow-fied. This music is so good. And Hitsugaya's voice is modulated as if he's got a hollow mask on. That is such a cool detail. Kind of strange that Soi Fon didn't have a hollow mask at all or anything like that. Shejin's out. It's good. Yeah, okay. It's playing out the exact same. I feel like Kang was defeated even quicker here. It felt like it was even faster here than it was in the source material. But yeah, that makes for the end of 553 and... I mean, there's still a chance the fight could go for a bit longer. We still don't know BG9's shrift, but we'll see. I love that Hitsugaya's voice has changed. That's a really cool little detail. And honestly, as short as that battle is, I think that was very well done. Both the defeat of BG9 and of Kang. I thought they were both very well done. That shadow approaching Hitsugaya is bad news. If you know, you know. But yeah, actually, I thought that was very well done. I feel like there is so much going on this episode that I can't wait to have another look. BG9's shattered face. Yeah, so this is now the start of 554, essentially. See, they've fixed Yuha Buck's white cape from the source material. That's good to see. Oh, here we go. This is it. This is it. Yeah, see, I did kind of know this was going to happen, unfortunately. But of course, this is going to be Shinji's Bankai. This is not happening when I thought it would happen. I've got to be honest. This is a lot earlier. And also, I find it interesting that he was using the Shinei-Yaku. First of all, nobody here is going to be stealing his Bankai if he activates it. And also, why does he need to holofy his Bankai when he's already a Vizard? Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking, because here it is. He's using it. This soundtrack is cool. I love the pop art style of that. That was awesome. But seeing the Soldat surrounding him on all sides as he's completely enclosed by the golden petals of his Bankai, Sakashima, Yokoshima, Happo, Fusagari, is very, very cool. And his Bankai is in 3D as well, which is interesting. But, I mean, there it is. There's his Bankai. We've now seen it. Very strange when you think about it. When you think about the fact that we've obviously known about his Bankai since Can't For Your Own World. Then we saw it in Bleach Brave Souls. And now it's finally here. And like I said, it being here in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc legitimizes it, at least to me, in a strange way. But also at the end there, seeing him silhouetted against the red sky, that was a great example of the red sky working in a very effective way. So this is interesting. We're now getting a scene from 559, I think. So we've gone like way ahead now for some reason. Also, Ikkaku was using the Shinei-Yaku pill, so again, he's supposedly hollow-fied now, I guess, for a little bit anyway. Yumachika, we didn't see activating it, so maybe he doesn't have a Bankai. I'm not sure. Here comes Mask. Yes, this is 559, the Night Right. But okay, so here is the predicted extension of the battle between these three and Master Masculine. I like this. A part of me is kind of like, do I really want to see this over, say, Toshiro versus Kangdu? There's still a chance that we will get an extension to that fight as well. But I love this. I love this track playing. Oh, there's James. Oh, wow. See, my thing with Master Masculine is that I always found him to be almost too stupid, like too silly. But he's quite a fun character at the same time. And I like his voice actor. There's a nice little hint there. I like that choreography. I like that a lot, actually. Him grabbing Ikkaku and Yumachika's Zanpakuto and sort of slamming them together like that. That's really cool. I'm assuming they will defeat him. Because that's how they learn that James is the key. But now we're back to 554 again. There's something about Bambietta that suits the red glow on her kind of outline. I don't know what it is, but she looks quite cool. I am really looking forward to this fight. Bambietta versus Komamura. I just think they need to do it really well. I don't consider it one of the absolute tentpole fights. And that's something people need to remember as well. Because we've kind of just blown through the first couple of battles of this second Quincy invasion. But it seems like they're going to do the entire second invasion in this core. So there are major tentpole battles coming, and more than one. If we're going all the way to 611, as I originally speculated, then there are 4 fights I would consider major milestone tentpole battles. Renji versus Mask, Rukia versus Az, Kenpachi versus Gremmy, and Ichibe versus Yhwach. This is not one of them. And certainly, those last couple of fights weren't either. So considering that, I thought they actually looked really good. Also, I'm just yabbering on, Komamura has new lines. I love that. So Komamura has arrived to save the Shinigami because Bambietta's going crazy, but he says that he has no time for her. He's here for Yhwach, which is exactly what I said he should have been doing in the first place. Because he's clearly on some kind of a time limit, so why is he here for this random Sternritter who doesn't even have his Bankai anymore? I like that. They are changing Komamura's priorities into something that actually makes sense. That's so good. Shinji is getting some major screen time this week. He's telling Komamura to leave. Okay, so Komamura's actually just gone. Obviously, he's still going to fight Bambietta, so something's going to happen. Well, we know that Shinji gets wrecked at some point. But the anime team is just being generous with his screen time currently. Unfortunately, part and parcel of being a Vizard means a wrecking is inevitable at some point. I'm really looking forward to going and doing a deep dive on this episode when it comes to the review, because there is a lot happening in this episode. I love the backwards subtitles. That's a really cool little detail. This soundtrack is crazy. It's not the same soundtrack as his Bankai either, I don't think. Shinji's getting a lot of love this week. He's a very unique character. When he actually gets a chance to do something like this, you see how cool he can actually be. So this is cool. So we're actually getting a slightly extended battle between Shinji and Bambi as well, which I did not expect. But again, this makes more sense. Shinji just wouldn't go down as easily as Kubo. Kubo decided to make him suffer every time. This is cool. I love these effects of Sakanade as well. Like, this is new stuff where he just like turns into like a abstract painting or something. It looks really cool. Yeah, seeing these characters teaming up as well, this is cool. Damn. Oh yeah, see, there you go. So Mask's been defeated. So Ikkaku stabbed him in the face, I think. But obviously he's going to rise again, presumably next week at some point. Yeah, see, I still think this is weird, this sequence. I think I mentioned this before as well, but Bambietta doesn't seem to willfully activate her holy form. It just seems to activate. I love, again, the church bells as the... Oh, okay, so Komamura's clearly going to see that Shinji is in major trouble and come back and help him. But I can't believe that... See, that's the sort of thing that I'm really happy about, because... shows a real attention to detail that the anime team were like, with Kubo's oversight, of course, were like, we need to have Komamura actually focus on his goal of revenge of bringing Yhwach down first and foremost. Right, so Kangdu and BG9 are still activating Volstrandig. I swear, if they don't get anything next week, that's a huge mistake. The execution... Okay, that's the end of the episode. The execution of Kangdu and BG9, for as minor villains as they are, was one of the worst things that Kubo did in the 1,000-Year Blood War, because it didn't make any sense. Like, Kangdu is completely unharmed, and yet he's somehow summoned back to be killed off because he failed, even though the fight is not over. So, I really, really would love for them to have some kind of an extension. I want to see their holy forms. I want to learn BG9's Shrift. There's still time. It's potentially all going to happen next week. But that was a crazy episode. I feel like I almost haven't stopped talking since it began. There's normally some downtime in these live reactions that I can cut out, but that was full on. There was a lot going on in that episode, and I actually thought it was very good. I thought the first half was excellent. I thought the culmination of BG9 and Kang's fights were handled very well. The animation I thought was really fluid and nice, especially during the Hitsugaya versus Kang segment. Then, of course, we get Shinji's Bankai, which did feel a little slapped in the middle there, just kind of out of nowhere, but I'm not going to begrudge seeing it, of course. It was amazing to see. There's just a lot going on. In a good way. I'm very happy to see all of this. I'm just waiting to see if there's something at the end here. Okay, there's another end sequence, again also featuring Ichigo like last time. He's almost reached the end, but he seems to be struggling. Whoa, what was that? Yeah, what was that? That was the Soul King's history, I think. Again, I am going to have to... Every step he takes, he learns a bit more. The vessel learns about the originator, the progenitor. There he is, the Soul King! Oh man, they are so going to give us the Soul King's history at some point. I just know it, and I can't wait. Ichigo with the Almighty? What is going on? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious now that, yes, Ichibei is grooming him essentially to become the successor of the Soul King himself. I love that, though. So, I mean, obviously Ichigo doesn't have the Almighty, but they are Bleach 17, Heart of Wolf. Makes sense. Okay. You know when I said that this episode's going to be fun to review? Yeah, that was never truer than at the end of the episode right there. There is a lot that flashed by, including brand new images that were not in the original trailer, all of which seem to hark back to the history of Reo, which is like one of the things I've wanted the absolute most of all for years. How funny. I went into this episode proclaiming that I had expectations, that I had things I wanted to see, smaller, more focused details. Little did I know that I wouldn't get any of the ones I listed, but I would be walking away with potential first steps towards the biggest one I've ever had, the biggest want I have pretty much ever had from this series post its ending. I almost can't process the rest of the episode now. I need to go back and watch that again. Obviously we'll discuss it in the review, but so now the vessel making his way down Irazu Sando is learning everything. This is knowledge that Ichigo does not have in the source material. I'm wondering now about Ichibei's incantation from not last week for me, but last episode. There's brand new stuff in those images that I'm going to have to slow them down, obviously, when it comes to the review. I love that every step Ichigo takes, he gains a bit more. Perhaps he comes closer to Reo himself. I kind of can't wait to see now what happens when he makes it through that final Torii gate. Like, Ichigo is undergoing some godly, divine truths right now. Also, are those actually the Soul King's eyes? I keep going. I need to stop this video soon, but because it's like reflected back on Ichigo. Yeah, so the Soul King has obviously the 4 irises like that, so that must be his eyes, Reo's eyes, reflected upon Ichigo himself, which figuratively makes me think of a couple of things. Either Ichigo is walking the footsteps of Reo himself. Reo has been here. This is the very history of Reo has been etched into this pathway itself that Ichigo is now walking. He is treading those same footsteps, this holy place. Or it's supposed to be a much more metaphorical Ichigo is the embodiment of Ryo, the new embodiment, the most perfect candidate to take over from him. Either way, I'm very excited by this. I'm kind of rambling at this point. I'm now gone into the theory mode, speculation mode, and I'm going to save it for the review because there's a lot to talk about. This is going to be a long one. And they changed so much as well. They changed so much. There's parts of 559 in here, brand new scenes, extensions for fights with Shinji and Bambi, Master Masculine, Ikkaku Yumichika, and Hisagi. And the first half was very source material accurate, but it was handled immaculately, I think. Wow. Okay, there's a lot to go over, so I'm going to end the video here before I'm just going to keep rambling at this rate. But that was very exciting. I think that was easily the best episode of the course so far, and really sets us up for some exciting revelations later on down the line. You know what I said in the last video about this maybe being the definitive version of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc? I think we could be seeing that, or we could just be getting that future that I also mentioned, where both this and the source material are as well regarded as each other, and they kind of come together, they coalesce to create this ultimate version of the 1,000-Year Blood War, which is like everything I ever wanted. So, yeah. Very excited, very happy. That was awesome. But that's it from me for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy episode 16, the fundamental virulence, as much as I did? If so, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think is going on with Ichigo in the Irazu Sando at the very end there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please do. Let me know. Make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done already. Stay tuned for the reviews of episode 15 and, of course, episode 16 coming this week as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later, and I'll see you then.